Welcome in to episode 5 of Speaking Sox. I can't believe we're already at episode 5. These are flying by. We love putting them out for you. By the way, if you're listening on Spotify, this podcast is now out on Apple Podcasts under the same name. It's also on our YouTube channel at The Tipsy Tailgate. If you're there anyway, go and check out our video. We had MLB legend Lenny Dykstra on. Fun fact, if you didn't know, if you're a younger fan of baseball, he was the runner-up to Barry Bonds one year in MVP. That's just how good he was at one point in time. But yeah, so we have a really good podcast coming for you guys today. We're going to go over MLB 2022 season predictions and the predictions that we have for the Red Sox in this upcoming year. Season's obviously starting soon. Red Sox open up at Yankee Stadium. A game that I should be at as long as everything goes well on a Thursday. So I might be there. I'll definitely capture the atmosphere.
Just to add to what you're saying, I feel like there's a lot more excitement for this season because we almost missed it completely. Sure. I think people, a lot of people crapping all over the game. Yeah. It's not, in a sense, I agree with them. It hasn't really been that outside of the Red Sox run last year. Watching baseball really hasn't been enjoyable for the last couple of years. I think the Red Sox brought that kind of excitement back to the game last season. Yeah. But I think people
kind of a story to run around.
They were kind of crapping on it, and then they realized, we might miss this year. Yeah. And they didn't realize how much they actually love the game. Yeah, well,
we felt this a lot from our roommates. We're in college, and our roommates aren't big baseball fans besides really us. But I mean, even the ones that really don't watch baseball at all, they're like, I'm kind of excited.
Because I think people saw that it might have been canceled. And they were like, kind of like, shit,
gonna miss it.
I would miss that.
Maybe I think the NBA's been a little underwhelming this year. Yeah, maybe not as much hype. NFL was obviously spectacular, and since then
was really good. But
since then, I mean, it's kind
of the regular season was great in the NFL this year. But the playoffs up until the Super Bowl were kind of disappointing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it was on and off, and I mean, obviously the offseason was crazy, but so was the MLB's offseason, and it set us up for this crazy season that we're about to have. Let's get started with, I think we should start with the MLB season predictions for our fans that might not just be Red Sox fans, but just MLB fans as a whole. So let's get this started here. I'm going to give you first off, my teams to watch for, obviously. Some of these aren't going to be the obvious. Some of them are the obvious choices. In the NL, the Dodgers, obviously. I mean, adding Freddie Freeman, that's a huge addition. I think the Padres also. Tatis being hurt to start.
It sets them back a little bit.
It hurts. I'd feel better if he wasn't. But this is a team that I was really high on last year. They were actually my World Series pick, and their pitching just did not live up to expectations. I think this year is going to be different. You'll see later I am very high on the Cardinals this year, St. Louis Cardinals. Bringing back Albert Pujols, you saw that?
Yeah, I did see that.
Love that.
Yeah, I love that move.
I think they're going to be really good this year. And I think the Braves, Mets, and Phillies, I think that division
That's going to be a dogfight of a division.
I think that might be one of the better races down the stretch.
And I think the Phillies are going to win that race because the Phillies are actually, they are my number one team to keep an eye out for in the NL this year.
I like that.
I am so excited about what the Phillies can do. You know, Bryce Harper, one of my favorite players. He might not hit for the best average, but that guy's absolutely electric with the bat in his hand. So
I mean, somehow he's went from being overrated in the past to now he's underrated.
He really is one of those guys that just always
coming off an MVP.
Always walks the line of overrated, underrated, overvalued, undervalued. I really don't get it.
This guy can't even be rated.
He really is. He is a future Hall of Famer in this sport.
Oh, for sure.
If he isn't
already made the top 100 list.
Didn't he make the top 100 list? Yep. So, I really don't understand the beef with Bryce Harper.
No, not at all.
A real fiery guy. I think baseball needs more of that
big
grit
personality.
And toughness. I think he fits Philly perfectly. And, so I really... If the Red Sox aren't going to win this year, I want it to be the Phillies because I would think that would be just such a fun team to watch.
I'm high on the Phillies too, and we'll get to that in a second. In the AL teams to watch out for, I really like the Mariners this year.
Yeah, I do
really
too.
Like the Mariners.
I do too.
I like what they did. I really like their young core. I think their pitching's improving, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But I mean, if Julio Rodriguez, their top prospect, comes up and he starts raking, I mean, this could be a team that's not only a wild card team, they might be able to win out that division.
They really could. One team though from the AL that it might be an obvious choice because feel like everyone's waiting for this team to pop and really take the stage. It's the Angels for me. You have the best player in the world, maybe the second best player in the world. If any of you know hockey, that's like Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid on the same team,
basically,
and yet they're still struggling. It's kind of a similar situation.
Very similar. Yeah.
So but I think the Angels are ready to pop. I think personally that they have the two best players in baseball with Mike Trout and Shohei. So I really want them to pop this year, and I believe they just added Syndergaard.
Yeah, they have
from
Syndergaard.
the Mets. So I think that's a huge piece for them.
They've got Brandon Marsh. They've got Joe Adell coming up. As
I think the Angels are ready to go this year.
Yeah, I'd love to see the Angels do well, and I have a hot take for you. Coming up in a little bit. I think the Twins, honestly, are a team to watch out for. They just added Chris Archer for like $2 million, $3 million. That's like a decent signing in my eyes.
I really hope that they start strong. I was mentioning this to you the other day. I really hope that the Twins kind of struggle out the gate because they're selling pieces. Because Correa would be out, and I really want Kenta Maeda.
Yes, he'd be
for
perfect
the Boston Red Sox. I think he'd be a perfect fit
for sure. Honestly, keep an eye out for the Tigers.
Yeah.
I think they did a really good job of adding pieces this offseason, Javier Baez and a bunch of other guys. But the big one, Spencer Torkelson, the former first overall pick, he's going to get called up this year, and he's going to do great. And I think it's almost a guarantee that he's going to have a sick year once he comes up. It's just a matter of when.
Obviously, baseball is one of those sports we don't know.
Yeah.
Like, we really don't know. A team that could be projected to lose their division could win the World Series. We saw that in 2013 with the Red Sox.
The Sox did not look good to start last year.
They looked horrible. And look what happened. At one point, I believe they were leading the AL in wins.
Yeah.
So I really just...
Baseball's one of those sports.
This is a really fun conversation, but we could be way off here, is all I'm saying.
I think the White Sox are primed for a big year. Mm-hmm. And this other team, sadly in our division, the Blue Jays. I think they're going to be really good.
The Blue Jays are... If they don't, we're gonna touch upon this a little bit later because we're gonna talk about the AL East specifically, and how we see that playing out. But to me, the Blue Jays, if they don't make the playoffs this season, that's the most disappointing team across all sports this year.
For sure,
with all the hype that's coming up on them, I love Vladdy Guerrero.
Yeah.
I think he is a case to be. He probably is, and I'm just saying this because I'm a diehard Red Sox fan. He has a case to be better than Raffy as the best third baseman in the AL. He probably just is, honestly, at this point. But, that team is just unbelievable.
Yeah, and, this is a team they've added pitchers in the offseason. Mm-hmm. They added Jose Barrios at the deadline last year. They're going for it,
the best way to put it is that the front office has done their part. Now it's on the players to go and make it happen, and I think they will. I really do think they will.
Yeah. So, do you have your World Series pick?
I do have my World Series pick.
Obviously, we're pretty early.
Yeah, we are very.
But I'm ready to get it out.
But if I'm just going based on rosters, I have to go. Honestly, I saw yours and I was like, I really like that, but I gotta go with the Phillies and Blue Jays instead.
Yeah.
I gotta go with the Phillies and Blue Jays.
I like it. I like that. For those that don't know, I went Dodgers in 7 over the Blue Jays. I do think that the NL is not guaranteed at all. I think the Braves have a really good shot of repeating more than a lot of people think. They did all that last year, missing 2 of their top 3 pitchers. Yes. Missing Ronald Acuna, who's just one of the best in the game.
If he was playing, he could have been their best player on that run.
Oh yeah, I think he would have been.
Freddie, you have a good case unreal. For people on Freddie's side.
Freddie's unreal, but Acuna is just
that guy's just nuts.
He's unreal. He's
unreal.
Probably one of the most talented players we've seen in this league in years.
To me, though, this is just like just a hypothetical. I'm not saying this is going to happen or I think this is going to happen. I think the most, I'd say, ideal World Series, in my opinion, would have to be Phillies Angels. I touched on that a little bit ago. Just finally, we need to see Trout on the big stage. We really need to see it. And Shohei Ohtani growing, obviously, on the cover of the new game that's coming out in a little bit. So just probably the 2 biggest stars, I'd say, in the league right now. And
that's perfect.
They just need them on the big stage.
That's great that you mentioned that because one of my takes of this offseason, at least, is that the new MLB playoff format, going from 10 games to 12 games, was a big issue in the CBA. I think it should be called the Mike Trout rule.
Yeah.
Because it
Just
finally opens up a spot for Trout to get into the playoffs. Exactly. And now they have Shohei. The Angels, I mean, they're very... If it was a 10 team, I'd say their chances are maybe a little bit slimmer.
Yeah.
Now that's a 12 team. They could definitely make their way into the playoffs much easier this year out of any year so far. And I do think that... And another hot take that I have for this year... I think that the Angels or the Mariners are going to hold the last wild card spot over one of the teams from the AL East. I have the Yankees missing out. I don't know what you have. We're going to touch on that in a little bit.
Yeah, I think I kind of grazed over what you already put because I was just curious to see what you had.
Yeah.
I agree with that 100%. I really do.
Yeah.
I don't think the Yankees are well built at all this season.
No, I think really things are kind of falling apart.
I think it's falling apart. I think Cashman should be on his way out. I don't think he's done a good job at all. I don't think he's done a good job. And I think they're far too reliant on Judge and Stanton in that lineup. I think they're way too reliant on those two guys.
And we saw it once Gleyber Torres wasn't the guy that they figured out he was, or at least the past couple of years he hasn't. I mean, that lineup looks so much worse compared to what the expectations were. I mean, he was such a big part of that. Now he kind of has the Cody Bellinger fall off, and everyone's like, oh my God, what are we doing here, you know?
Yeah. Cody Bellinger, another interesting thing.
Yeah.
We're going to touch upon that later because we have, I believe we have surprises coming up.
Yes.
Yep. So I'm going to have him in that one.
Okay.
Sure.
And do you have a hot take that you want to share with us?
Well, the hot take that I had... This one's actually, it's kind of funny. In my opinion, it's funny. So I looked it up because to me, the AL East is so good this year. Like, so good.
Yeah.
Outside of one team, and we all know who it is. It's the Baltimore Orioles.
No way.
I think that the Baltimore Orioles are going to set the loss record in MLB history this year.
Gosh.
So for a 162 season game. So
hey,
I looked it up, and the 1962 Mets went 42 and 120.
Oh my God!
So I think, because
it's possible.
It's very possible that there could be 4 80+ win teams in the AL East.
Oh,
outside of them. So
almost 85 plus.
I think they're all just gonna gang up on the Orioles and just hand them the fat
I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
So I
think it's very possible.
My hot take is that I have the Orioles winning anywhere between 39 and 41 games this season.
You know what? I'd love to see it. These are
the records that I'm here for.
I think that's very possible, honestly. I think the Orioles, I'm honestly a little bit higher on the Orioles than I think most.
They suck, man. They suck.
Hey, they're not good, but Adley Rutschmidt's going to be coming up. Grayson Rodriguez is going to be coming up most likely this year. Those are some young guys that could do some damage.
It really isn't. It's nothing against their players.
No, I mean, this division is just too
I just
crazy.
think this division is so stacked, and they're just so young and just not ready for what's about to hit them.
Okay, let's get into our MLB awards. I'll go first. We'll bounce back and forth. My MVP vote for the AL, I think Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is going to take the MVP award here. I mean, he was so close last year, and I think this year they're going to be even better as a team, and I think that's kind of what's going to catapult him into that position. I think you keep an eye out for Yordan Alvarez, just because he's not that much of a fielder. I don't think he'll get just as many votes, but I think he's going to do some crazy things with the bat this year. And then for my NL, actually, you can go give your AL pick.
For my AL, if you hadn't gone with Vladdy, I probably would have.
Yeah.
But purely for the fact that he's Mike Trout, I'll go with Mike Trout. But
I like it.
If I wanted to go with a dark horse type pick, I'll go with Rafi. I think Rafi's going to have a huge season.
I like that too. NL, I'm looking at Juan Soto, and I'm looking at him because I think he's gonna. He might set some records this year.
Yeah, he might.
I think he might.
He might. I'm gonna take Bryce Harper to repeat as NL MVP.
If you're high on the Phillies, you might as well.
I am so high on the Phillies this year. I really am. They've made so many. To me, they've had a very impressive offseason. They're just buying in to win, and I love it. They're building around Bryce, and I think they're giving far more support than the Nationals ever did. To be quite honest, even though they won right after they lost him, I just think that they built a much better team after he left. So I'm gonna go with Bryce winning his second, or not, I believe it would be his third, second straight.
Back to back. Cy Young AL. I think this is kind of a little bit of a sleeper pick. I'm going Lucas Giolito. I think he has a lot to prove.
Yeah.
He coming off, I believe 2 good seasons with under a 3.5 ERA, I believe. I think he's primed to be the guy now. Yeah. I mean, obviously Carlos Rodon leaves, but I mean he's got big shoes to fill, but he's already been filling them, and he was a top prospect coming in for the Nationals, I believe, was traded to the White Sox. He's ready to go. I believe it's his time to hit his peak, and I think this is the year. The one thing that kind of worried me with this is that there were reports that he's not happy with the White Sox, how he had to go into arbitration and they wouldn't extend him, or they wouldn't just settle with him. So I don't know if that affects anything. Maybe that puts another chip on his shoulder, and he's going to go out there and pitch even better. I'd love to see that. So he's my AL pick for Cy Young. I
am going to go with Nate Eovaldi. I think Nate Eovaldi's going to have a breakout season.
Let's do it.
Because we've seen it in the MLB where a pitcher really hits his peak later in his career, and I think he's going to have a lot of weight on his shoulders this season.
Last year he was amazing.
I think he's going to accept it, and I think he's going to roll in from what he had going last year. Yeah. He was on fire down the stretch last year.
Yep.
And I think that, and Core's the kind of guy that'll shoot you straight. He'll say, listen, this is all on you. Yeah. If we're going to make the playoffs in this division, you have to be our ace. Yeah. You have to step up. You have to make all the big throws and all the big moments. So I'm going to go with Nate Eovaldi.
I like that pick. From the NL, I'm going with Max Scherzer. I mean, how could you not? He's just unreal. I mean, that's all. That's the only way to say it. I think, not that pressure even matters to him, but I think being with Jacob deGrom and in that great Mets rotation with great pitching coaches, consistently producing star pitchers, I think Scherzer's gonna thrive, and I think the Mets are gonna be really good. So I mean, I think he's a pretty easy pick for Cy Young, at least as an expectation.
I'm gonna go with Walker Buehler.
I like that too. I love Walker.
I think he's disgusting.
He's so good.
I think that the Dodgers, similar to the Mets, they have such a good team. This isn't as much of an individual award as people think, because you have to be on a good team. As a pitcher, you have to get run
wins,
support in order to get wins. So I'm going to go with Walker.
I love it. Okay. Going to Rookie of the Year, AL. I'm going Bobby Witt Jr. I think this is the easy pick, but I think it's the right pick. He's unreal.
I agree 100%.
Some people, I saw a report today or an article that had him in the projected to finish top 10 in the MVP voting as a rookie.
I think that we have, correct me if I'm wrong, but from the looks of it here, it looks like you're about to go Seiya Suzuki.
Yeah, from the NL.
So we have the same two. The same two. I think they're both easy picks.
Yeah, I think
they're
agree.
Both stars in the making.
Yeah, I would like to throw in. I'm a big guy on prospects. I really love that stuff. I think from the AL, keep an eye on Spencer Torkelson. Just mentioned him for the Tigers. Julio Rodriguez for the Mariners, another guy, and then from the Sox, Tristan Casas.
Yeah,
those are worth sprinkling if you're a betting man or woman. You could throw some money on them. I think those are some good options. And then I don't expect him to come up this season necessarily. I think he should be up. I think he would be the Mets' best catcher if he was up. Francisco Alvarez for the Mets. I think he would be a huge addition to the Mets' offense. I don't know if he comes up this year. I didn't see him on the betting odds, so I doubt his ETA is this year. But keep an eye on him. Manager of the Year, I'm going to go AL. And I think the White Sox are kind of my Phillies for you.
Okay.
I think the White Sox can be really good this year. I'm going Tony La Russa. Second year with the White Sox, and sadly it's not the Red Sox, but I think the White Sox are primed to kind of make that step forward, and if they can maybe acquire another pitcher at the deadline, an ace, in that case would be even better. And this is a really good team.
Yeah. So for my AL Manager of the Year, I do like that pick. I thought he did a fantastic job last year as well. Thought he did a great job. I'm gonna go with Charlie Montoyo from the Toronto Blue Jays because I think they're just primed.
That was gonna be my second one.
I think they're just primed to have a huge. Sure. I have them winning over 100 games this year.
Oh, I love it.
So that would be huge, and so I'm gonna go with Montoyo for
nice.
AL Manager of the Year.
From the NL, I'm going Oliver Marmol from the St. Louis Cardinals. I understand he's new. I understand he's the youngest manager in the league. But this Cardinals team is so good. This is such a good team. I mean, you have guys like Dylan Carlson, Tyler O'Neill, young guys coming up. You got Nolan Arenado. I mean, this is just a stacked team. The pitching rotation kind of scares me just because a lot of those starters are injury prone. But, you get some momentum like they did last year, especially near the end, and it's a dangerous team.
Yeah.
I also think an honorable mention, or at least my second pick, which might be your first pick, I'm going Joe Girardi from the Phillies. I'm also high on him, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even when he was the Yankees manager, I never really minded Joe Girardi, to be honest. I always thought he was kind of cool. He's kind of a hard ass, and I kind of appreciated that about him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he's the perfect guy to be managing that club right now.
Yeah.
And as I said earlier, I just think they're ready to go. I really think they're ready to win this year.
I like it. It'd be interesting to see who finishes with a better record, the White Sox or the Philly or Cardinals or the Phillies, because those are the three teams we're kind of really high on. Maybe even the Mariners too.
Yeah.
Breakout player. Hey, I'm going to say it again. Eloy Jimenez from the AL. If he hasn't broken out already, he was hurt last year, but he is a top prospect that's finally, I think, is in his third year. Not full year because he's been injured, but he's back, and I think he's been lighting it up in spring training, and I think he might hit 35 to 40 bombs.
Yeah, he might.
I think he's going to have a sick year. I think he steps into stardom. From the NL, I'm going Dylan Carlson from the Cardinals. Like I said, Cardinals primed again. Carlson got brought up last year and was a beast. Tyler O'Neill was hitting home runs left and right. And then another guy I want to mention, Logan Gilbert for the Mariners. This guy is a star. He's a star in the making. He's going to continue to pitch great for them.
Yeah.
And he did it last year coming up, I think midway through, just like how... I'm blanking on his name. Jared Kelenic came up for the Mariners, played great. Logan Gilbert did the same thing, kind of went under the radar. Keep an eye out for Logan Gilbert.
I just went with one player for a breakout, and I went with Tanner Houck. I think he's I think he's ready to really take a step forward this year. We saw it a bit in the postseason.
Hey,
and so as a Red Sox fan, I know Casas is amazing. But right now, if you're looking at a young player and what they can do for the Sox right now, Houck's the guy. I think he's a special player.
I think, honestly, it's a good pick for Houck, Bobby Dalbec, or Casas.
Well,
I think
not Dalbec.
Oh,
he sucks.
You're not high on Dalbec this year?
No.
Hey, we've got...
I hope I'm wrong, but I will go to the grave saying I hate that guy.
All right, well, we'll see this year. And a little fun stat to throw in. Most homers. I think Yordan Alvarez is primed this year for the Astros in the AL. And then from the NL side, I think Tyler O'Neill or Matt Olson could really, be that guy, you know?
Yeah, I think it's going to be Vladdy again in the AL.
Yeah.
And not to beat a dead horse, but I'll throw Raffy in there as well.
Beautiful.
But Judge. I think Judge always deserves respect in that kind of conversation.
For sure. Okay, let's move to the Red Sox and our 2022 Red Sox predictions. Let's start here with the we have a home run over under for our starting lineup. Kike at 20 home runs. He hit 23 bombs last season. What do you got? Over or under?
I said over for Kike. I think he'll be around. I honestly I don't want people to get. I don't want to say overly encouraged. That's not the right word.
Expectations maybe too high.
I don't want expectations to get too high around Kike because he really.
If anyone down the stretch.
If anyone just caught fire in a bottle, I'm not saying he's not great because he is a great player, but if anyone caught fire in a bottle last season, it was Kike Hernandez.
For sure.
And so I would have him in the 21, 22, 23 range. I think that'd be about right for him.
Okay. I have him under. I think he's just gonna hit 19, under. Maybe.
But I would
20.
accept that's good production.
Yeah, I think right around there.
That.
Exactly. Rafi, 40 home runs over under. He hit 37 last season.
I got him at over. I think he's going to hit around 46, 47 bombs this year.
Let's do it. I'd love to see it. I have him over as well. That would be great for this offense. 45. I love it.
Well, we're going to obviously I have a lot of these guys going over, so we're going to talk at the end. I'll just talk about why. We'll talk about why.
Okay. Xander, 25 home runs. He hit 26 last year. I've got him at over.
I got him at over as well.
Yeah, I think he could hit around 30.
Yeah, I
really
agree.
think he could.
I agree 100%.
Less pressure, kind of lets you swing more freely.
Also, a bit of competition between him and Story. See who is the better man.
I'm sure he's been hitting the weight room right after the Story news.
For sure.
JD Martinez, 35 home runs. He hit 29 last year.
I went under for JD.
I went under too. Sadly, I do think I think the exaggeration on him kind of falling off is way too much in the media right now.
It's way too much, but at the same time, he has fallen off a little bit.
I do think he takes a little bit of a step back in power at least.
Yeah.
So I have him under as well.
This is an interesting question.
Yeah.
Would you rather he falls off power-wise, still hitting, let's say, like 305, but he only gets like 25 jacks? Or would you rather him be at like 260 hitting 35 bombs?
No, I'd rather him hitting for an average. I think if he hits...
I agree, because we have other guys in this lineup
that can hit for power. Exactly. I mean, even... I know you don't like him. Bobby Dalbec.
Yeah, even he can swing it bad, even though he sucks.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
The Dalbec hate. We got to make shirts or something. Watch him win MVP this year.
He will never be on this podcast.
Next up, Trevor Story, the new man in town. 35 home runs, over, under. He hit 28 last season, but obviously on a much different squad.
This one's really tough. Like, really tough.
Yeah.
Because Colorado, obviously, like, it's easier to hit home runs there naturally. But he's also joining the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, I think there's more life pumped into
there
it,
is.
you know?
What was it?
35 home runs.
I gotta go under. I initially had over, but I have to go under.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go over. I think he hits 35, 36.
Oh, I would love that. I don't know. That's a lot of home runs.
It is. Hey, him and Xander going back and forth. Let's do it.
I hope it happens.
Alex Verdugo, 15 home runs. He hit 15 on the dot last season. I'm going to go over. I think he hits around 17.
I'm going to go over as well. I might go even more than that. I think he could hit around 22, 23 home runs.
Nice.
Similar to Kike. And I think that's another guy that fans outside of Boston should really look at as someone who might take a major step forward this year.
Could be a breakout candidate.
I think that he is phenomenal.
Yeah.
He's a gamer.
I agree. I think he's a ball player. Just a pure ball player. You could tell. Bobby Dalbec, there he is. Over under 25 home runs. He did hit 27 last year.
Under.
What do you got him at? 3, 4?
He might hit 7.
Okay, I've got him at under, but not because I think he's going to do terrible. I actually think he's going to take a step up this year. This is probably where me and Ben completely disagree. I think he's going to do pretty solid this year with less pressure. Trevor Story in the lineup, he's going to be moved down to maybe 7th, 8th in the lineup, and I think it'll help him a lot. He had a really good barreled ball percentage last year. Great exit velocity. He definitely hits for power. He could take a step up. I do think he hits under 25 home runs, just because I think at some point Tristan Casas comes up and one of them wins out and one of them does the job. Yeah.
I hope Casas gets called up.
Hey, I'd love to see it either way if we can get production, power production out of first, you know.
Is he as bad as I say? No, of course he's not. He just does so much stupid stuff where I'm like, what are you thinking?
Not the best fielder as well.
No, horrible fielder.
Christian Vasquez, the GOAT. I love him.
Yeah.
10 home runs, over under. He hit 9 last year.
I'm going over.
I like it.
I have to go over.
I think he hits 9 again. I'm going under, but I would love to see him go over.
I'm going to go over because same thing. I think he's just going to be swinging freely.
Yeah.
Very little pressure on him because there was at times last year, I don't even know, the lineup hasn't even changed that much. If you take into account we lost Renfroe, but we add in Story.
Yep.
So I'm not saying those are equal bats. Obviously Story's better than Renfroe, but I don't know. To me it feels like there's been this. I think the Red Sox have gotten better, but it feels like people think our lineup has gotten exponentially better.
Yeah. Okay.
When it's gotten better,
but not sizable.
Not not that much better in my opinion.
That.
But I still think that it still feels like there's less pressure on Christian this year, and I think there is. So I think purely for that, there's gonna be less stress. Baseball is really is mental warfare.
For sure.
It really is, managing stress at the plate, handling
such
what you
a mental game.
And I think Christian's just going to have a lot less on his shoulders this year, and I think it's going to help his game out a lot.
All right, and finally, JBJ, Jackie Bradley Jr., back with the Sox this year. Over under 10 home runs. He hit 8 last year.
I'm going over.
I'm going to go under. I think he hits 6, 7.
I think I'm going to go over. I've never seen someone so bad at hitting hit so many bombs.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing. Remember the ALCS against Houston in 2018?
What did he hit, 180 last year?
He hit... I don't care. He hit 180 that year, too, and he hit 4 bombs in the ALCS.
No, I do. He does. He was
just
very
hits
clutch.
Big home runs.
He was really clutch. That's right.
And I feel like he goes 1 for 10 every single time, but it's always a home run.
Yeah.
It's the weirdest thing.
All right. Moving on to our last topic of tonight. AL East predictions. I'll take the lead here. I think that the Blue Jays are gonna win this division, and I think they're gonna win it with a 95-67 record. I think they're this is their breakout year. Like we talked about, they've got a lot going for them. They added Matt Chapman, which is one of the most underrated moves of the year.
Crazy.
Somehow it's going under the radar. He's a star.
Yeah, he's an animal.
That's, if not a hitting star, he's one of the best fielders in the entire league. So that's a great get. Tampa Bay Rays, I have them finishing second, 93 wins and 69 losses. I have the Red Sox coming in third, 92 wins and 70 losses. And I think all three of those teams make the playoffs. I think the Red Sox and the Rays both make it as wildcard teams. Sadly, for any Yankee fans listening, I don't know why you're listening.
Yeah, get out of here. We don't want your listening.
But for any Yankee fans, I do think that they just miss out on the wild card to, like I mentioned before, the Angels or the Mariners. I have the Yankees at 89 and 73, still a very good season, but not good enough for the playoffs. And I have the Baltimore Orioles at 63 wins and 99 losses. I think the Red Sox make a wild card appearance. Yankees miss out on the playoffs, like I said, but the Sox don't go as deep in the playoffs as they did last year. I think the AL is a little bit more competitive.
It is.
And and I just think a lot of expectations coming from a team that kind of caught, like you said, lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
And you got to repeat it. It's kind of tough. I think they make the playoffs, but they don't go as far.
Yeah, I agree with most of that. One thing I have that's different, or two things. I have the Red Sox getting 94 wins, so that's not much of a difference at all.
So second.
I have them second behind the Blue Jays, who I have at 1. I have the Blue Jays getting 101 wins this year. I think, as you said, Chapman. I really don't get why no one's talking about that.
I haven't heard much about it.
He's a beast. So
it's very well rounded.
I gotta go with them at first. They just have, to me, they have the most complete roster in the division.
Yeah.
There's not one thing that I'm like, they don't have that. Mm-hmm. They have it all. So to me, it's going to come down to just the players doing their jobs, doing their thing, and making it happen on the field. And as I said, I have the Red Sox at 2, with a 94 and 68 record. Similar results as you thought for the playoffs. I don't think they're going to make much noise. I can see them easily getting eliminated in the wild card.
Yeah.
I think that, as you said, it's just hard to carry that kind of momentum into another season. Okay. It's going to... For them to make the playoffs this year, which I think they will, Kike has to establish himself as an all-star caliber player. The guy he was last year. He has to be that again. And Sale has to come back healthy and quickly. So those are two key components. And then I have the Rays taking a bit of a step back. I have them winning 88 games, which is a good season in the MLB. That is a very good season, but I don't think they'll make the playoffs. I think that the new rule changes, such as banning the shift.
Yeah, it's kind of
the pitch clock
like that can get affected.
They're going to get affected a lot, I think, by
that.
Because they play a lot of, I call it the money ball defense.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to affect them a lot, and I think they're going to have a bit of a disappointing season. And I have the Yankees only winning 83 games. I think they're just an old, overrated roster.
Yeah.
I really do. I think there's a lot of holes that they haven't addressed.
Okay.
And I just think they're way too reliant on Judge and Stanton. And as I said earlier, I have the Orioles winning 41 games.
Poor Baltimore fans. So unless there's anything else you want to touch on, I think that's episode 5.
That's it.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. Like I said, follow us on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter at The Tipsy Tailgate. Also, Speakin Sox now on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on YouTube. No excuse not to watch it. And then also keep an eye out if you were sent here from And That's Baseball, the YouTube channel. My good friend Jacob from home. We just did a collab video. He thinks the Sox aren't going to do as well as they did last year. He thinks they're going to take a step back.
Which honestly isn't that bad.
It's a good take.
It's not a bad take.
And he makes some good points. And I'm in the video doing a little bit of a rebuttal on why I think the Sox won't take that much of a step back, if anything. So definitely check out that video, And That's Baseball on YouTube. He's been growing at a great rate. Subscribe there, give him a like, and comment that Speakin Sox and the Tipsy Tailgate sent you. That's all. Episode 5. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.